One of the main things that we wanted to do with Orison is create a place that's visually distinct from anything else we've done before.
As someone in the universe, it's kind of a destination.
It has this like unique open space and feeling,
which separates it out from a lot of the other landing zones.
It's becoming quickly one of the best places we've ever made.
What's really so unique about Orison is that it is a floating city that Crusader uses to manufacture all their ships.
It's just a really great place where this company set up their entire network, including places for the people that work for them to live, to shop, all that kind of stuff.
One thing that we've learned from previous landing zones that we were able to apply to Orison was this idea of focus on places to visit.
So with that in mind, we already knew that it had to be this just really outstanding place where everything is gorgeous to look at, everything is scenic.
In comparison to the other locations, we try to improve the navigation for the player and have everything a bit more easy to read and to navigate to.
We have, all kinds of assets that are just adding a lot more movement to the scene, and that's something that I think will really bring a lot of life that we've not quite done before.
So the commercial platform, or as people in Orison know it, CloudView Center, is kind of the main hub of Orison. It should really give the feel of almost not quite a theme park, but have that sense of pageantry that you would expect from there.
When the player arrives at the commercial platform, right in front of you after leaving the train station, you have a nice rest and relax area with some fancy little trees.
A lot of the time our landing zones are quite still, there's not a lot of things moving around, but what we wanted to do with Orison, since it's essentially a lot of gardens floating around in a gas giant, is that we have an opportunity to play with wind.
And we had a couple different ideas, but the cherry blossom kind of style of tree stuck out because they could do the effect of having stuff blowing in the wind, which I think is going to be quite beautiful.
And I think it's really going to create a very calming space for the player to relax in.
You have one of the main attractions is this unique creature, the storm wall, or as it's commonly known, the space whale, that lives amongst the clouds there, and it's a big draw, and they do tours for it, and so they really want to highlight that in a dramatic way. And then they developed really stunning kind of flowing sculpture to back end it.
And this wind sculpture kind of feels like the whale is splashing a big wave behind it,
which again ties into the sense of wind and movement that's across the platform. Green Circle are the main habs on Orison. They're kind of like a split between a hotel and apartments, and it's the main place people stay when they're visiting Orison. And it's got a really gorgeous lobby that you can come into with a new feel. And one of my favorite features is this hot tub sauna area that overlooks the vista from CloudView Center, and it's stunning and a really great addition. So I thank the art team for adding that.
The habs are a lot like what we've done before. The difference here being that we're kind of bringing in a lot of the look and feel of Orison into the habs, and it's going to have a little bit more of organic materials like wood, a few more plants, and it's just kind of going to feel a little bit more homely rather than cold and high-tech.
Stratus at CloudView Center is the main shopping building.
And I think in general it's going to be very different from a lot of other shopping areas we've done because it has a lot of sort of character and feel.
And one of the main features is Voyager Bar on the roof.
Voyager Bar is going to have some really, really incredible views towards the rest of Orison.
I can imagine going up there, having a drink at sunset, and just enjoying my day there.
As we lead towards final art in the commercial platform, there's a lot of little things we need to sort of figure out, mostly to do with tidying up a lot of the geometry and making sure that the place is playable to the best extent.
We're building Orison with room to grow, so of course later on in future releases we're going to be adding Orison General and the main Crusader showroom. The showroom will show off all the ships that Crusader makes, and Orison General will start featuring our new kind of life and death cycle, healing mechanics, and all that kind of stuff when that comes online.
We also need a whole new loadout sets for characters. Currently we are using placeholder AI, and something we're setting up for future releases are the maintenance access points.
With the idea that these doorways can lead into mission areas where players will be assigned to do repairs or sneak into an area, and there's a lot of possibilities that we can put behind those doors. But by building in those access points now for future mission content, it gives us a lot of leeway to design stuff.
I think once we're done, it's really going to create one of the best spaces in Star Citizen.
I really hope that players visiting Orison get a sense of really being a visitor. We have this sense of exploration a lot of times in visiting our really cool moons and other places, but here is this kind of really curated experience to come look, learn, and see at Orison. So I hope they get to take a mini vacation within our game.
This early look at the progress of Orison's commercial platform is just the first we'll be making over the next several months, as Stanton's fourth and most ambitious landing zone to date continues its journey from tropospheric dream to persistent universe reality. But up next, from teams leaving their marks on the universe to the universe leaving its marks on our ships, systemic vehicle visual degradation has been in the sights of our developers for a while now, and the first major steps in delivering a world of wear, dirt, and car washes is currently underway.
We want our ships to feel like they're grounded in the universe, that the universe leaves its mark on our ships, and that where you've been tells a tale on your ship.
When you've used your ship and you've taken it down to a planet, or you've flown through an asteroid belt, or whatever it is that you've done in your ship, we want you to be able to, the next time you come to your landing pad and you see your ship, be able to go, yeah, it looks like this because of something I've done. So right now we're working on our first version of visual degradation for the vehicles. There's lots of things that we want to explore with this feature, and right now we're kind of looking into what wear really means across the board. A lot of our assets in game already do wear and do get dirty.
We want the ships to look like they've aged. To get to that end frame, we need to break that down into different elements, like dirt, which is the build-up.
There's kind of two concepts of dirt that we're throwing around. There's the environmental build-up, which we already have in terms of our characters and the snow biomes, and you go and fly into a muddy swamp, you'd expect there to be mud on your landing gear. But there's also the kind of concept of dirt, which I think you already see in a lot of our wear maps, is the build-up of grime, and it's an additive process. It's layers that are being built on top of whatever the ship came like out of the factory. And of course, with ships getting dirty, there's also going to be the concept of cleaning your ships. For the initial release, we're simply looking at when you go to a repair terminal, your ship gets cleaned.
And then wear, which is more of the subtractive, if you will, so we're taking things away.
It's the paint fade that you get if you leave your car out in the sun. It's the scratches, it's the lacquer peeling, the layers being peeled away as you rub up against something, or as you go through atmosphere, or whatever we decide will be the kind of controlling element. And I expect there'll be lots of controlling elements.
The first version of vehicle degradation is cosmetic only, so to get that, what we're looking at is thinking about it in two levels. The macro, where we're looking at the ship as a whole, and we're masking it and doing a curvature bake so that we can tell the engine which areas are exposed to the elements, if you will, and those are the areas that will start to see the wear first as the ship ages. Taking it down to more of a macro level, we're looking at the textures that describe the panels that make up the exterior of the ship, and we're thinking of the panels, the panel lines, the edges. They're the bits that are going to be slightly more prominent, and in these areas that's where the wear will come in.
There's other things that we need to consider as well when we're looking at the wear. We need to establish really exactly what wear means versus dirt, versus damage, versus aging. They're separate systems and separate features that we want to be able to support. So when they come together, we get this really kind of beautiful, consistent, visually appealing end product. We need to look at how our materials, or how our paints scratch, and how different brands would coat their paints to allow them to scratch and behave differently. If you take some of our kind of like our high-end ship manufacturers, you'd expect them to be using much more expensive materials in their manufacturing, and how they wear is going to be very different to how some of our lower-end manufacturers kind of build their ships and how their materials wear. So once we've released this initial version of visual degradation, there's still a lot of work to be done in to get us to where we want to be.
Going forward, we're taking this and we're doing it on a limited number of ships to start with, because we want to dial in what these values are and how they behave, and just verify everything's working as we should, and then we get the pipeline established.
There's still a lot of work to do, especially on the dirt side of things, but it allows us to kind of test the waters, see what people think of the way we're going.
Now we're going to have this dynamic system in place. We want to be able to have all ships start from a new place and then tell the story of the universe as they travel through it.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that with Orison, the team's building a landing zone that will look, feel, and play unlike any other. That with wear and dirt, your ship will feel more an integrated part of the universe than ever before. And that with wear and dirt also comes newly clean versions of spacecraft. So what's a newly clean reclaimer look like? We're all going to find out together. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.